Today, I'm going to show you how to complete every secret mission and get every secret title.
Aye. Subscribe.
Alright, so we're on a new account here where I have been hard at work completing all kinds of challenges, and as we can see here, all 12 secret missions that are currently known have been unlocked. If any more are discovered or released, I guess we'll make a part 2, but for now, I'm going to break them down and show you how to do them all efficiently and, for the most part, on a budget to get you the rarer titles and extra gems. Just a couple of general tips here before we get into the missions. First, having pots available to you like Extravagance, Duality, and Desires, even Upstart, will be super helpful if you already have them. Second, challenges don't instantly appear the moment you start them. Sometimes it'll take like 3 or 4 triggers before they actually show up, so don't instantly worry if it's not popping up for you. Third, if you surrender a match, any challenge progress you make within that match is forfeited, so keep that in mind. Fourth, this one's a bit more silly, but potentially rename your account to like missions or something like that, so people might actually stick around rather than just surrendering as you try and Exodia them. And finally, try and do all of these at the lowest rank possible, because just as like a silly example, you're not going to be able to mirror force a full-on Tri-Brigade player in Platinum 1, so yeah. Getting into the missions here, our first one is equip 100 cards, and that gets you the show-off title. We have deal over 8,000 damage in a single attack. Doing this 20 times will get you the title Strong Arm. Gain 100,000 life points for a total of 400 gems. Summon a Gemini monster on the field, a total of, this third one's missing, but it's actually 100, so a total of 100 Gemini summons will also get you 400 gems. Take control of your opponent's monster, also goes up to 100 for 400 gems. Place 200 spell counters for 400 gems. When your opponent's monster attacks, your opponent takes damage. This is specifically battle damage and not effect damage, so things like Magic Cylinder, Reflect Bouncer, Angel of Zoma, or whatever the trap card is called, they all don't work, unfortunately. But this also gets you 400 gems in total. Win a duel without a normal summon will get you the Unfathomable title, which I accidentally just claimed. Whoops. Win by decking out your opponent 20 times will get you the Destroyer title, which is super freaking cool, but probably the worst challenge to actually complete. Win on your first attack turn 5 times will get you the Demon title. Now, this challenge is actually bugged. Reading it, you'd think, okay, you can just OTK on your first turn going second, but it doesn't work like that. It only triggers on FTKs going first. Winning a PvP duel with Exodia 10 times will get you the Sealed One title, Sealed Only title, let's go. Win a PvP duel by special victory 30 times will get you the Tactician title. So there's a total of about 7 different titles that you can achieve here. Now let's talk about actually completing them. So there's multiple different ways of completing multiple challenges at the same time, and this first budget option is gonna work towards the gaining life, normal summoning Geminis, taking control of your opponent's monsters, and your opponent taking damage when they attack. So this is gonna be 4 secret missions getting completed by the one deck, netting you a total reward of 1,600 gems. Alright, so getting into our example list here with a little bit of everything. Of course, we also have a couple of pots in this list as well, like I mentioned at the start. If you don't have any pots whatsoever, then you can replace these with some other cards that work towards the challenges. I will give you some other options, but getting into this example list, we have here 3 Rafflesia Seduction, which when flipped can take control of one of your opponent's monsters until the end of the turn. Couple this with the enemy controller, gives you 6 cards that takes control of your opponent's monsters. We have 12 Gemini monsters here as well, 3 Ancient Gear Knight, 3 Future Samurai, 3 Crusader of Endymion, and 3 Night Day Grapher. It really doesn't matter what Gemini monsters you're playing, they're all essentially the same. To complete the challenge, you need to normal summon them and then normal summon them again while on their field, just how like Geminis work, so that they get their Gemini effect. Double summon is really nice with that because you can activate double summon and then just instantly get 1 towards the challenge. But we also have free range monsters. So during like your opponent's main phase or main phase 2, you can activate this, normal summon, and then on your turn you can normal summon it again. So a lot of ways to get your Geminis out. We also have 2 Waboku, which does stop your monsters from being destroyed by battle, so they stay on the field, and then you can normal summon them on the next turn, because of course you only get 1 normal summon per turn. Triple Draining Shield here is your way of gaining life points. It negates the attacking monster's attack, and you gain life points equal to their attack, which also helps your monsters stay on field to normal summon them again. Only the 3 life point gain cards in the deck, but gaining life points is honestly the easiest one to achieve, and you can combine that with some of the other decks we're going to be playing for the other challenges as well. Getting your opponent to take damage really sort of comes down to attack modification and damage step effects. Here we have triple Wall of Disruption, which is a very good card that reduces their attack by 800 for every monster they control, and the attack still goes through, so they'll be taking a lot of damage off of this. And we also have Dimension Wall. So this is kind of like Magic Cylinder, except it deals battle damage instead of effect damage. If they're attacking directly, then they take the full damage. However, if they are attacking over a monster, they'll only take the difference in battle damage to themselves. But yeah, setting this with no monsters is a very good way to deal battle damage to your opponent. Nothing in the extra deck actually matters, it's just a bunch of random cards for the extravagance here, but this is essentially the list I've been using to complete the challenges. If you want to focus on any specific area within these challenges, for the Gemini summons, you also have Super Double Summon. For gaining life, you also have Cauldron of the Old Man, Spell Absorption, Aegis of Gaia, side effects. For taking control, you have Mind Control, which is at 1, it's an ultra rare. Brain Control only takes normal summonable monsters. Crackdown is an ultra, and Triple Tactics is also an ultra. And then for dealing damage, you have all your kind of damage steps / battle traps, things like Ego Boost, Lost Wind, or if you want to do it super quick, you can combo Honest with Limiter Removal for light machines, which does a lot of damage, but they are both ultra rares and not really usable outside of just these kind of challenges. Next up, going for the 20 Deckouts challenge. This is by far going to be the absolute worst one to complete because there's no budget efficient way to actually do this. I mean, you can go ahead and build a deck around it, a Mayakashi Soul Absorbing Bone Tower, but like that's going to cost you a lot of supers and ultras, and it's just not really worth it. With this example list here, it all revolves around number 59, Crooked Cook. While you control no other cards on the field, this card is unaffected by other cards' effects. And if you make him with Right Hand Shark, it also cannot be destroyed by battle, so there's literally no way to out it unless your opponent's playing like kaijus, so you just get this on the board and then wait for your opponent to deck out. It's really slow, it's really painful. We have kind of tried to speed it up with cards that make your opponent draw, things like Hand Destruction, Gift of Greed, side effects. This also contributes to the life point gain challenge, so that's quite nice. Trickstar Reincarnation is also pretty good if you make them draw a bunch of cards and then just refresh their hand. But the important thing about this deck is making Crooked Cook with the Right Hand Shark. So we have 3 Betuniful Princess, 3 Silent Angler, 3 Right Hand Shark, and 3 Buzzsaw Shark, as well as Monster Reborn, Raigeki, Ash, Double Smashing Ground. Just a bunch of cards to fill in the void, honestly. We do want to get Crooked Cook out as soon as possible, so it's either we try and find him as soon as possible, or we just sort of stall until we can get him out with Threatening Roar and Raboku. You do need to keep in mind that he's only unaffected while you have no other cards on the field. However, he does also have a quick effect that destroys every other card you control. So if you have him on the field and a bunch of traps, you can activate the traps. Let's say your opponent tries to Raigeki while you have a trap set. You can just chain the Crooked Cook to wipe your board, and then the Raigeki will no longer affect him. Usually when your opponent realizes that they're not going to be able to out this thing, they surrender, so that's like the worst part about this challenge. It's going to be a tough title to get, and you know, hopefully rewarding, I guess. Alternatively, you can try and build a deck around Inferno Tempest. You would need to have like stall cards like Threatening Roar and Waboku, and then increase your opponent's monster's damage so that when they do attack directly, it has more than 3000 attack. Couple this with a couple of draw cards like Gift of Greed and side effects, and it might be a bit more viable than staring down Crooked Cook for 10 minutes. The only issue with that is that it requires you actually seeing Inferno Tempest, and there isn't a whole lot of ways to search it. Next up, for the over 8000 damage in one attack challenge, we have this budget Crusadia list, which is just a slightly modified version of Hardleg's budget build. I'll leave a link to that in the description because he goes very in-depth with the deck. But on this channel, we all know what Crusadias do. So of course, we have 3 Reclusia, 3 Arborea, 3 Leonis, 3 Draco, and 3 Maximus. Also 3 World Crown because it also just special summons to a Link Monsters zone. 3 Godarla and 3 Jizakiru. It really doesn't matter which kaijus you're running, but you know, just in case you get, for example, Wind Barrier statued, Godarla is really good. And you always want to place the kaijus in front of the extra monster zone so you can get the attack buff for Equimax. Triple Exceed as well, just to extend a bit more. MST, Lightning Storm, we have Triple Chalice. 3 Desires is what I added in, just because you're literally playing like 3 of everything. But yeah, the idea with this is to go second, pick apart your opponent's board with things like MST and Chalice, kaiju a monster, and then use your Crusadias to link up through Magius, through Regulex into the Equimax, and then you use Maximus to to double its damage output and smack them for like 10,000 plus. It's super fun and super easy. Literally, you only need the 3 extra deck monsters, Magius, Regulex, and Equimax. The rest really don't matter too much if you're just going for the challenge. So hell, you could probably even play Extravagance if you just like max out on them, but it's not worth going for the 3 super rares. Unless you actually want to play Crusadia, I guess. And this final deck is going to complete 5 challenges for a total of 4 hidden titles and 200 gems. We have the Exodia deck, which is absolutely not budget, a lot of super rares and ultra rares, but this is absolutely the best way to do these challenges. Here we're going to get the Spell Counter challenge off of Royal Magical Library, we're going to get the Equips challenge, the Show Off title off of the Bamboo Swords. Of course, we get the Exodia Win Condition title, we also get the Special Victory title, and we, of course, get the FTK Demon title. Only if we are going first and Exodia turn 1. So this is a slight variation to Team Sam's list that he uploaded. I feel like I made it a little bit more consistent. I think we took out 1 Blue Eyes, 1 Egg, 1 Cards of Consonance, and like 2 Pseudospace, literally for 3 Into the Void, 1 Terraforming, because Pseudospace is kind of a brick if you don't see Chicken Game. I also put in the 1 Pot of Duality as well. There's literally no reason not to play this card. Just at 1, it's absolutely insane in the deck. If you start running low on Steam, Pot of Duality can bring you straight back into the game by letting you choose from the next 3 cards. But ideally, you do want to kind of save it to be the last card that you choose. Maybe dig for that final piece of Exodia towards the end. If you see Royal Magical Library in your opening hand, you're pretty much golden. But yeah, once again, I will of course have the link to Team Samurai's video in the description because it's a bit more in-depth than we're going to go into here. But playing this out, it's definitely a lot more about sequence. For example, in your opening hands, you want to search for cards before you draw for cards, and you sort of want to optimize your plays in line with the Royal Magical Library. If you don't see Royal Magical Library in your opening hand, then you're definitely in a much worse position. I did try playing Perry Rice Map, which can search for it, but having multiple copies in the deck is just extra dead cards, and you don't want more dead cards in an Exodia deck. Playing against opponents with this deck, I think, is a lot easier than the Deckout deck, because people are actually kind of interested in seeing whether they can get Exodia or not, but when it comes to decking out, it's literally just staring at the screen for like 10 minutes. So you typically don't have to worry about surrendering with this deck. However, if you don't manage to Exodia your opponent on turn 1, then the game's over. Which is kind of frustrating because on the ranked ladder, if you are farming these challenges, which is the only way you can do it, you are kind of wasting other people's time, which is a really weird dynamic to have that I'm not a huge fan of, but you know, it's gotta be done for the titles. The only challenge I haven't covered here is the Unfathomable challenge, which is winning a game without using your normal summon, but that just sort of comes naturally as you play the game. For example, literally just win a game without a Lich. It's really not hard to do, it doesn't require a guide, so that's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, otherwise, that is all of the secret missions and secret titles that we know of so far, and how to get them with only, what was it, 4 decks in total. You can decide yourself whether it's worth grinding out the Gemini monsters and stuff, literally for 400 gems per challenge. I don't know if it's worth the time, personally, but if you are strapped for gems, then you know you can do that for free and get a solid like 15 packs out of it, which is all right, I guess. Anyway, that is going to be it for today. If any more challenges pop up, we will make a part 2 guide. Drop a like if this helped you out whatsoever. Subscribe to the channel for more potential guides in the future. There's a lot of tournaments coming up, like the Xyz only tournament, and we're probably going to play Malfi in that. Let's go. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.
To slow down, fireplace to